Greetings to everyone. Greetings, greetings. This is Chris Brown, your real estate professional and marketing entrepreneur. We're going to go ahead and get started here very shortly. All right, making sure we are good to go. Testing, testing. All right. So, guys, hey, this is another episode of State of the Real Estate Market with yours truly, Chris Brown. This is February, so we are already almost done with the second month of 2025. So, appreciate you guys tuning in and being a part of today's episode of State of the Real Estate Market. A lot of things to talk about. We have some upcoming things that have been happening, political wise. A lot's going on in there. We won't talk politics as we talk about the real estate market, but we all know that it does impact the market for the past couple of years. How the presidential race and all kinds of new laws and guidelines that have been put into place have impacted the real estate market as most people know, interest rates have been the biggest factor that we are very familiar with and understanding how that impacts other things that are going on in the economy, such as inflation, making sure that we're keeping an eye on inflation as we are, moving forward in 2025. So today, what we're going to do is just kind of tackle what's going on out there. Uh, And as we go through this, let me know what you guys are thinking. I know we had a couple of folks that were sending some messages prior and wanted to know what to expect as we're moving forward with this in 2025. So as we're doing this, I'm gonna give you guys the scoop and just let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. So let's see here. So a couple of key takeaways that we're going to explore during today's presentation and make sure that you guys are staying in the loop of everything. Let's get this up here. So, current presentation that we have for you today, some of the updates that you should expect. Let's get this here. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Once again, it is Friday, the 21st of February, as we approach what's going on in the market. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you guys can uh, be sure to get the latest and greatest in the updates that are being presented. And here are a couple of takeaways that we're going to talk about. What are seller and buyer expectations here in 2025? So those who've been really paying attention to the market or have been considering getting into the market, this is key right now, just because what you guys are seeing is that people are being a little pressured. I mean, they're paying attention to the interest rates. We're not sure what interest rates are doing. They have experienced a little bit of some declines over the past few weeks. It's been a little consecutive, so it's bringing back um, still some uncertainty about the market, but it is starting to bring back some eyes and some people paying attention. Uh, in the past, prior to the pandemic, some of the trends that we would typically see in December and January would be kind of a decrease in the market. After January, you start seeing in the past, the typical trends were that you will start seeing an increase month over month after January. So what I mean by increase is that you're going to possibly see situations where interest rates, you see those kind of reducing. Buyers starting to be a little bit more interested in getting into the market. Sellers starting to fix up their properties. Sellers who have already had their properties fixed up, they're starting to place them back onto the market. A lot of properties that are already prepared are probably people who were thinking at the end of last year already about placing their property on the market, or people who have um, expired had their property on the market but didn't sell it. So it's already typically already ready. This time of year, you start seeing a lot more for sale by owners start to hit the market as well. So in my world, as a real estate professional, those are individuals that I like to talk to, just because it's like, hey, if they can sell it on their own, that's great. If not, they may need some additional uh, exposure for the property to get sold, and especially in the market like it is today. And plus, just being able to have that knowledge, that's just one of the big things that I offer to people as well, is just understanding what's going on in the market so that you can um, have a better understanding, how to position your property. It's all about position these days. So, factors that will influence the real estate market in 2025: interest rates. It's pretty simple right now. Interest rates is going to be the key factor, as in what people are going to experience in today's market. It's no getting around it. It's all about the interest rates. People have questions. They're going to say, hey, what are the interest rates going to be? They're paying attention to the interest rates, where they're actually seeing, if they're actually going down, going up. Something I'll share with you later on in today's market update. They're starting to see a trend towards like that 6.5. We're starting to push towards that 6.5. One of the things, if you've been following me for a little bit, I anticipated, and I won't say just me, but from the research that I've gathered, once we get to that 6.5, 6, that's probably going to be like the area where people are going to start picking up, where buyers are going to start coming off the fence in the masses, just because that's probably more of an ideal way of dealing with the market today. 6.5%. It's still much higher than what it was, for all of my people who got threes and sub threes, 3%. Hold on to what you have. Because a lot of times, we're not going to know what the market is going to do. Interest rate wise, there's still a level of uncertainty, even though we've had the whole the voting season that's out of the way now. What direction are we going in? Those are still things that people are looking at. There's been a lot of changes since we've had the switch in office, and people are still seeing what's going on. Is it for the good, the bad? Do we know? We just know that there's change. So, as I've told everyone, if you're in the market and you have to be in the market, go ahead and just educate yourself on what's going on and how to position yourself. Whether you're a seller, some of the things to expect as a seller. And then if you're a buyer, some of the things that you should expect as being a buyer. We'll definitely go over that as well. Impact of inflation and interest rates on the real estate market. As I just stated, it's going to be a continuous situation. Everybody's going to be looking with sellers. If you have to sell your current home in order to move to your next home, you're going to have to be aware of buyers being not of the abundance. They're not going to be coming out of the woodworks like they were before, where you had a ton of buyers that were just interested in homes. Properties are going to stay on the market a little bit longer, or I say a bit longer than what they were previously. Be aware of how the average of how long properties are staying on the market. Something I do with one of my clients is let them know that, hey, we're looking at a 2 to 3 month um, stay on the market before we start really getting that interest. People who, looking at homes that have sold over the past year, they've been on the market for 45 to 60 to 70 days. So, with that being said, in the first couple of weeks, and if you're wondering why the property hasn't sold, it's like, hey, setting proper expectations, understanding as a seller that, hey, your property is going to sit there on the market for a little bit, but still continuously doing what's necessary to market your property. Keeping the property up to date. When you do have a seller, make sure, or excuse me, a potential buyer, make sure that the property is actually in showable condition, especially if you're living in the home. That puts a lot of stress on people these days, where if you are living in a home, you're having to maintain the home, especially if you have family, kids. Kids will be kids. They're gonna have dirty socks. Are they gonna remember to make up their beds? Those are things that you got to be concerned about. So a lot of things moving forward with sellers, they are in a position to leave their home vacant in order to get the property sold. That would be a better position to place yourself in, and a lot less stress on you and your family moving forward, because the selling process is a bit more of a challenge these days. Properties are not going fast, and if you've had a property that's been on the market for a period of time, keeping up and keeping that property cleaned and show ready can be a bit daunting and a bit of a challenge as well. So keep that in mind. Um, Other things that you want to consider with the real estate market as you guys are getting moving forward as buyers. Buyers anticipate the inventory to not or the inventory not to be as high as it was before. Before you had multiple choices. With that being said, and when you have multiple choices of the property, of different properties, you're going to have a selection process. The inventory is more than what it was, but it's also the quality of the inventory. So if the quality of the inventory right now, you're going to have to be mindful of it. I know in the state of Florida, homes that are on the market, if you're buying a home and you're getting financing, things are a bit more stringent in the process, because what they're going to ask of you is to make sure that you are, um, let me get this here, making sure that you are in a position to have a property that has a solid roof, have a property that is in a position where the AC is functional and it's not have old parts. And what I mean by old parts, functioning parts, make sure the electrical is up to date, make sure the AC HVAC system is up to date, make sure the plumbing is up to date, making sure that the roof is up to date. These are things as a buyer that you're going to need to make sure that the property has in place, because if you're getting financing, it's going to be a challenge to even get financing with this in place. New insurance that is coming to the state, in this particular state, my particular state, because we experienced so many hurricanes back to back. There's the restriction. There's multiple restrictions on what the property has to have in place in order for the property to be insured. And if you're getting financing, they're going to require that you have insurance in place. So keep that in mind when you are looking at some of these properties that are in the market. Make sure it fits and adheres to the quality and the standard in order for your financing to go through. Is this market flip or invest a good market to flip in or even to invest in? Yes. I had this question come up a few times over the past few weeks, where people are sending me messages. Hey, I'm considering buying a property. I want to get into flipping homes and so forth. So you still have people that are maybe at beginner level where they're looking for advice and suggestions. So one of the big things I always tell people is understand your exit strategies when you are investing in real estate, especially in today's market. You need to know and may even have more than one exit strategy, especially with people who are in the mindset of actually flipping properties. Is it an actual property that I actually flip? And then also, would that property be a good rental property? Because if you're not able to flip that property, you're typically bleeding out money. Typically, some people are getting hard money loans where those payments and interest rates are extremely high, and you need to make sure that you're not having to continuously make that payment. And you may want to go ahead and get someone in that property, because the more and the longer that the property stays vacant, there's different things to be at risk. You're paying utilities, the holding costs is very can get very pricey. So keep that in mind when you are looking at flipping a property in today's market. I know with a lot of properties that are in the state of Florida, for those who have been following me for a while, I've always said that, hey, make sure it has some special features that people are looking for. Big things here in Florida is if you have a pool, you know, having additional room, having a spacious property, because people are working from home these days. So they need to have more than your typical space. So if you have a spacious property, additional storage, have a pool, have land. What I mean by land is like having, a property where it's more than, small backyard. A lot of people have a smaller backyard, and that may not attract as many potential buyers versus a property that does have a big backyard with a pool that is spacious on the inside. They can see themselves not only living there, but living there now, but living there for a period of time. So keep that in mind if you are in the flipping world. Is it possible? Yes, it's very possible, but you have to be a bit more educated on how to get your property flipped. And that is also something that you want to consider if you're just getting into this world of flipping properties and investing in real estate. A lot of people that were during the pandemic, a lot of beginners, they can make major mistakes and still get through the process without any big issues. So keep that in mind. All right, guys. So as we go ahead and should you continue to think about selling your home? Yes. This is always there's always a market where you can sell your property. There's always a market where you can actually sell your property. So keep that in mind. You know, people are selling homes, people are placing properties on the market, people are getting properties sold, but just understand what's expected if you are placing your property on the market, especially in today's world. If you are doing that, that is something that you want to consider. Um, Properties are staying on the market a bit longer than what they have been. Making sure that the property has the necessary updates to get sold. If you have an older roof, if you have an older HVAC system, you're going to have to expect to actually have those items um, replaced, repaired, whether you do it before you place it on the market or if you have it negotiated. So keep that in mind when you are moving forward with that. So let's see here. So a few things that were in the news I wanted to share with you guys. Let me go ahead and take this down. All right. So a few things that I did want to share with you guys as we are kind of moving through the market and as you are seeing what is going on in the market today. Let's do this. All right, builder confidence. So typically what I like to do is share with you guys just information that's out there regarding how the industry is doing. Builder confidence is a big situation right now, whereas we are moving forward. Builders are determining if they should invest in building additional homes. And what typically happens with builder confidence, builders will determine through their index if this is a good time to actually continue to build homes or what the expectation is, if they should increase labor to be able to build more homes. Uh, Traditionally, December and January has been a situation where people have not been as active in the real estate world as in buying a home. So with builders, they have traditionally slowed up in the months of December, January. So from some of the indexes that we've read, um, you've seen a decrease in buyer confidence, and that's kind of expected. So like when you do see that, it's not a thing something to be afraid of or to be warranted in regards to saying, hey, this market is crashing. No, that's not the situation. So traditionally, what has happened after the month of January, things begin to pick up a little bit. Now we are starting to see things pick up in reference to the interest rates, and what I mean by pick up, rates are actually have experienced a little bit of a decrease. Hopefully, those rates will continue to decrease for potential buyers as well as sellers that are entering into the market so that they can actually see what may happen for them and see if we see some type of recovery. Everything that's going on in the real estate market right now, guys, it's unexpected. We don't know what to expect. I'm reading information from different economists, and economists are saying that there's a lot of uncertainty in the market still. Even though we've gone through the election season, we see that the interest rates are still on the higher end compared to a few years ago, but they are starting to experience a little bit of a decrease. Is that going to bring buyers back to the market? Is that going to have sellers place their homes onto the market? We'll know. We'll see what happens. I'm not a big person to jump on initial trends just because with what's been going on in the past few years, trends have gone completely opposite of what's really being pushed out there. At one point they were saying, "Hey, don't buy a home." Who's buying a home during the pandemic? But people were buying a lot of homes. They had a market that was very stagnant, and people were thinking that the market was going to crash. And what happened? Things just took off. And that's something actually I put out there as well, just letting you know. It was kind of like a hockey stick effect, where it's kind of like the straight line or stagnant, and all of a sudden it just took off. So now did we anticipate the pandemic? No, we didn't. But it did happen. So other things to anticipate, JP Morgan unveils a major 2025 housing market prediction. Some of the things that they're predicting is still around inflation as well as mortgage rates, and then the economic and political uncertainty. So with those things being uncertain, unfavorable conditions, and general uncertainty have made home buyers wary of entering the housing market, driving demand down and further restraining recovery and growth. So with all of this uncertainty and different things that are changing and shifting, they feel that it's impacting how buyers feel about getting into the market. And I can see that. I could truly see that where it is impacting it, where people are making decisions. And when you are buying a home, it's an investment. So some people are still hanging into the situation of renting. And with all the uncertainty that is going on, is that going to be the route that a lot of people go? We'll see. Home builders have lots of reasons to feel downbeat about the housing market. The number of new homes that begun construction dropped by 9.8% between December and January. So that's something that I mentioned before, guys. It's traditional for buyers' interest to actually decrease during the months of December and January. That's what it's been in the past. Those are some of the past trends. And now that there's cold temperatures across much of the country might have slowed down some construction. If you guys realize, I think it was in North Florida, though, we actually got snow. So in North Florida, people aren't working. These are different reasons why people and contractors are not actually working, just because of unfavorable conditions. I know it's in a lot of people that watch this that are in the Northeast. It's like it's always cold, but you got to think about it. When it's cold and snowing, you're not doing a lot of building. So keep that in mind. It really does impact, especially Florida, where we anticipate, 10 months of summertime. So a lot of people freak out when it drops below 60 degrees in Florida. Those who have been Floridaized and been spoiled by the warm weather. Um, Something else that was here, it says, but it's not only the sign of home builders are feeling not so great at the moment. Their confidence in January dropped to its lowest level in 5 months, according to the National Association of Home Builders. The trade group found its members are especially worried about tariffs, mortgage rates that remain close to 7%. So that was another big thing that was in the news about the different tariffs that may be coming into effect or possibly into effect on Canada and Mexico. These are some of the uncertainties that actually will impact our housing market. So keep that in mind as we keep an eye on those items. Something else, the housing market seasonal effect is visualized. Seasonal speaking, U.S. existing home sales typically bottom out in January, as I mentioned, then begin to rise month over month until peaking around June. So a lot of times as we get towards, you'll find a lot of properties will go onto the market around that springtime, just because that's traditionally in the past has been a time where a lot of people have, placed a property on the market, they've gotten it cleaned up, done what they needed to do to it, and then now they're just trying to see what the market is actually going to do. So, like I said, you're going to start seeing an increase as we go through January, February, March, and definitely in April, you're going to see things really take off. That's what it's been traditionally. But if your property's already been on the market and it is on the market, you're starting to get more of the serious buyers who are actually considering their next move and really trying to see what the market is going to do. So if you are getting showings on your listings, make sure that the property is in a position where you are showing it at its best point. Make sure it's show ready, keeping it show ready. So, guys, I just wanted to kind of touch bases with you. We've had, so much going on in the past couple of weeks, and you guys have been chiming in. So I definitely appreciate you guys doing that. I appreciate those who actually chimed in. We had a few people that logged in reference to uh, today's state of the real estate market. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Um, Let me see if we have any more info in the chat. I know we had a few people chatting. All right, we answered it. We answered it. All right. So if there's any question, guys, be sure to chime in. Be sure to let me know what you guys have on deck, as in what's coming up next. If you have questions, go ahead and send me a message. You guys typically do that, so feel free to do so. Continue to do so as you guys are um, making things happen and making decisions in the real estate market. The real estate market it's up and down, a lot of uncertainty. But if you are in the market, if you are thinking about selling your property, go right ahead and do so. But make sure you're getting educated on the process. So that's always something I always tell you guys to do. Make sure that you're being educated on the process. Other items to consider. Um, if you need a free market update or some information on what the market is doing, if you are in the Tampa Bay area, feel free to reach out to me. I do a free consultation where you're able to get those details. I do an all-out report for you. Come visit the property, let you know some of the things that you may need to update on your property as well. So keep that in mind. But for those who haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. And the best is to come for 2025. You guys take care. It's Chris Brown, your real estate professional and a marketing entrepreneur.